It's a good intro, Nick, right?
It's great.
Yeah, Nick's jamming out to the intro as it was going on.
It makes me really wish
it.
that I had paid like put more time into learning how to play guitar.
Yeah.
And by that I mean any time into
Yeah.
playing guitar.
We just need another pandemic to happen for you to get a
Buy
cheap little
guitar,
guitar.
like
This time I'm going to buy one that's like a full-size guitar.
Yeah.
Not the mistake I made was buying the keyboard was too small. It didn't fit
That
my
was the
hands.
mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah. You would have been a master pianist now if you didn't get the small piano, right?
I want you to refer to me as the
Size
master
matters,
pianist
okay,
from
everybody?
now on.
Hey, what's up? Welcome back to Kind of Funny's Last of Us SpoilerCast breakdown for Season 2, Episode 2. Of course, I'm your host, Tim Geddes. I'm joined today by Greg Miller.
Hello, Tim.
And Nick Scarpino, making his first appearance here, replacing Blessing, because Blessing is in Japan. Which is very cool.
Can't wait to hear about that trip. Tim, I know we probably talked about it on the show prior to this, but this jacket you have is amazing.
It's pretty damn cool.
It's
isn't
amazing.
It?
Awesome.
It's
if you're an
awesome.
audio listener, you're missing out. He's
Yeah.
wearing
You
this
gotta
new
come check
Vegas
this out.
WrestleMania
Greg, when you
WrestleMania,
saw this
baby.
WrestleMania jacket, how badly do you want it?
I wanted it bad.
It's good.
I have mine from last year. You know how I always get compliments.
And
on
yours is
that.
great too. Yeah. It's not always great every year. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I feel like
for
we
sure,
lucked
for
out
sure.
for the 2 years we were there.
Yeah.
So
Stick with me on this. It reminds me a little bit of the Pink Ladies from Greece.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
It's
it's got
great.
that satin finish to it.
That's all
love
you
it.
need.
I
That's
love
all
it.
you need. Yeah, so you'll love to see it, everybody. Remember, this is the Kind of Funny Last of Us breakdown each and every week for the next handful of weeks. Actually, literally handful of weeks. We only have 5 episodes left after this for a very short season here of Last of Us. Yeah, it's a bummer. Only 7 this season. Last time was 9. It's because they're kind of splitting the second game into 2 seasons.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so
Checks
makes
out. Bit of a
sense.
longer game.
Exactly. So we'll be here for the next 5 weeks breaking down each and every episode. But hey, you don't get much bigger than this one. So, of course, we're going full spoilers. If you haven't played the game, watch the show. I don't know why you'd be here. But just letting you know, we are covering spoilers for the entirety of the Last of Us games. So we are going all in on Last of Us 1, Last of Us 2 game, the entire game. We are covering this kind of from the perspective of people that have played the game, that know the differences between the show and the game, because there's going to be a ton of different entertainment channels that are talking about this from just a pure TV show perspective. But of course, we're Kind of Funny games. Last of Us is in our DNA. So we're going to get into all of that stuff.
Nick's my
Housekeeping.
cordyceps.
A little
He
housekeeping
puts
for
his
you.
fingers in me all the time.
The
Tells me what to
digis.
do.
Those
Check this
digis.
out. Remember when they did that in the show?
I do remember. That was one of my least favorite things of the last season, and I hate
Yeah.
that they brought it back into the last time on. I'm like, you could have just not showed that part. We're an 11-person business, all about live talk shows, and today, oh boy, we've been talking live. You already got Games Daily, then you got a Games Cast with Game of the Year so far with Michael Huber from Easy Allies. It was an awesome episode. I highly recommend you check that out. After this, we have Greg Miller playing Oblivion for the first time
Very excited.
ever, which is very exciting because, of course, the shadow drop happened today. If you're a Kind of Funny member, you can get today's Greg Way. That's 16 minutes talking about Greg having FOMO for WrestleMania, not being able to buy cool jackets, but it's not for the reasons that you might think.
Exactly.
Friday, we're getting the return of the Elder Scrolls Online podcast, a Kind of Funny Games Cast limited series, episode 2. Greg, how you feeling about that?
Awesome. It's one of those where we had such an outpouring of support for episode 1. I like to think that I was vocal on all the shows, that even if you aren't an Elder Scrolls Online fan, which of course I admittedly am not. I played a little bit at launch and I'm now coming back because of the show, but that's a different story. Mike, huge super fan. My argument was that this is me doing what I love the most about our job and talking to developers about their video game, but beyond the normal of that, it is the idea that this is the deepest dive ever. This is a 10-year journey across 4 episodes. It's Matt and Rich talking, in great detail without shying away from the problems that happened, the mistakes that were made. Like the copy I wrote for you here is talking about they put it out and oh boy, the review scores weren't good. And wow, the audience hates it, or do they? And this, and then building what would then become a game that goes on for 10 years. That's a fascinating story, whether you care or not about the Elder Scrolls Online. Yeah. It's not about the minutia of what's happening with the story. It's about how they made a game. I thought episode 1 was so great about them working on a game, and then guess what? Skyrim happens, and they're like, we have to change the entire game now because of that. Yeah. And then here we are of how you change it.
Check that out on Friday, of course, on all your Gamescast feeds and on Bethesda's YouTube channel. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Anatoly Ast, Delaney Twining, Carl Jacobs, and Omega Buster. Today, we're brought to you by Imperial and Aura Frames, but we'll tell you all about that later. Let's get into The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 2, Through the Valley, directed by Mark Mylod, who is known for directing some of the more emotionally heavy Game of Thrones episodes, and 16 episodes of Succession. He was very key to that show, and most of its, if not all of its, big episodes and big moments. So really cool seeing him pop up in the end of this in the little behind-the-scenes thing. I'm like, I've seen every single one of these Succession ones, and anytime he talks, I'm like, you're a smart guy. You get some shit. But yeah, Through the Valley. Who do I want to start with? Who wants to kick off?
I'll kick it off.
Go, Nick.
Well,
Actually, because you weren't even here last
This is me. Yeah, this is me catching up on the first 2 episodes, which I think are a good 1-2 punch. I mean, this, for anyone who is a fan of the game, this is the episode, right? This is like the big moment. And I was watching it with my wife yesterday, and she was like, I'm getting a little tired. I'm like, you need to finish this episode before you read anything about it. And granted, it came out Sunday, but I'm like, I don't want someone to inadvertently say something about this, because this is the main crux of what this whole series is going to be, or going forward is going to be about, right? This is what's kicking off the main theme of the second game, which is really just like that concept of revenge and how destructive it can be, and forgiveness and all these things. And so I was very much looking forward to seeing her sort of experience that. And it was, I think, very, very well done. I think the town fight really added a lot to it. I think it added a lot to like the suspense of what was going on. I think Tommy, the actor that plays him, is doing a great job. It's great seeing, by the way.
Gabriel Luna, right?
Is that what his name is?
Yeah,
he's rad. Great seeing the actor from True Blood coming back to play the sort of mayor of the town.
Yeah, Maria. Yeah. But of course we know her better as Don't Tell Me. Oh God, because I saw Tara. She was when season 1 when she popped up. Yeah, I was like, oh my God, that's Tara from True Blood. Yeah.
So great seeing her. I didn't even clock that she was in the first season.
Yeah.
Awesome that she's back. She's doing great. So the whole town, I love that. I love that we're in that. And obviously, this is a lot of setup for where we end this. What's interesting is watching somebody who didn't know it was coming, and watching Dee just kind of sit with that, being like, wow, this is a lot darker than I thought it's going to be. And I'm conflicted. The show's great. They do it it's very, very faithful. But I do remember playing the game and being like, I don't know how much more of this experience that I want, because it's really, really, really violent and really, really, really dark. And so it'll be interesting to see if I have those same feelings as we go into episode 3, 4, 5, as the revenge kick starts. I also don't remember the game that well, so I can't remember how much more we're going to get of Abby versus what we're going to give to Ellie. I can't remember where we pick up now. So that's what I'm excited for week 3.
Yeah. Greg.
Fantastic. They made some subtle changes here, some differences with the parties. Obviously, everything going on at Jackson. Like, I love this episode, stem to stern. I think as that confrontation with Joel and obviously his inevitable death here, I love this. I liked the games more. For something about it with me in the game, him coming in and Abby not revealing, like, yeah, you don't even know, and then the whole thing of like, I'm Tommy and this is Joel, and then
they look at each other.
You're all looking at us like you know us. That's because we do. Like I'm not. That doesn't take away from this at all.
Yeah.
But like when you're sitting there and like I'm the asshole who quotes the show right before it happens. So when things weren't happening the way that I was like, okay, cool, you're keeping me guessing, and I again think this works so well for the Abby and the WLF group we're making here. It all works fine, but I miss that. But to get Abby with you don't get to rush this, right? And get to see I think this show, with them being real people, is portraying better that horror of her group watching her do this, right? Just wail on him and try to stop, end this now, right? Like, carries so much more with it. And, it's a death you knew was coming. It's a death you knew would be powerful. It's a moment we've all been waiting for in a lot of different respects. So it's interesting to still see it hit for different reasons, right? Like something like when Bella Ramsey is on the ground as Ellie screaming, get up, Joel, get it. Like, that's so just from the game. But like Ellie in the game, I felt was more crying, more broken by it, right? Where she's still in this. But when Bella Ramsey as Ellie crawls to him and puts her face on his face, that I'm tearing up right now, because that is such a Ben thing to do for me right now, or mom too. You know
I do it to you too.
I know you do, because I love you, baby.
Love you, bag, Daddy.
Anyways, but like to have that touchstone there and be like, wow, like, like I know in the game there's stuff like that too, but like the way it hits here between two actual humans, like doing it and then pulling the fatherhood part of like
I mean, him
dealing
reaching
with-
out even, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That subtle little change. Oof.
Yeah. Like it was really incredibly powerful. You know, I immediately took to Blue Sky afterwards to compliment Caitlin Dever, like her Abby and the monologue she gets. And I kept waiting for the Joel from the game moment of like, quit with your monologue or whatever, just get this over with. You know, you eventually got to just get on with it. And it's like not the same.
Because she doesn't have a monologue in the game.
Yeah, exactly. It's not the same, but this one was so good again at, I think, you know, the people who don't know, who haven't seen or played the game, getting to see Abby do this and understand her motivations before they really, you know what I mean? Like, they did such a great job here of really introducing all this.
I would say, and I don't want to get to Tim's overall thoughts on it too, though. I would. It's interesting because we don't spend a lot of time with Abby before this moment. And correct me if I'm wrong, but in the game kicks off with you, like, there's moments where you play as her as she's training in the other camp leading up to that, isn't it?
No, that's after the
That's
fact.
after, okay.
We
so
don't
you
get
get
even
in
less
the
Abby
game.
in the
Abby
game.
just shows up and basically kills Joel, and you're like, "What the fuck?"
and
That's why
then right
everybody
here is where it cuts to
No.
her, no?
No.
Dang, when do you get to Abby?
Well, you play as Abby a little bit, right? Like,
I thought, isn't there like you have to shoot and clean and
because Joel saves her.
Yes.
It's just not the zombie horde thing, but it's like you do play as her for a very brief
Yeah, yeah,
moment.
yeah.
in the game.
I'm misremembering that because I remember there being like training and you're back at the
That
Firefly
is,
camp.
that's
That's
later.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
later.
yeah.
Okay.
I loved this episode so much, and I love that there even is discourse of like which is better and like what are the differences and all that. I feel like that's the power of this. Like this is such an important moment, and like Nick was saying, that is the crux of this season, and in a lot of ways the overall Last of Us story and Ellie's entire journey. It's like, yes, it is Joel's death that is one of the biggest moments, like one of the most important moments in the not just these stories, but like we look at Game of Thrones or we look at Succession. Like there are the core moments in these stories that change everything, and there's no going back from, right? And in this, there is no going back from Joel dying and what that means to Ellie and the characters around her. I personally, as a huge fan of the games and as somebody that loves Last of Us 2 and the story of Last of Us 2, I am so impressed by how they've adapted it, but also kept me on my toes and kept me interested. And when they make a change, more often than not, I like it, even if I don't think it's better. I just like the direction that it's going. Like having Dina with them instead of Tommy is different. And I initially didn't like it, where I was like, oh man, that we're getting robbed of the weed scene with Ellie and Dina. Like that to me is like one of the more standout moments story-wise and character-wise from the game. But I think that having Tommy not at the actual death, having him back defending Jackson makes Jackson so much more important. And I feel like it raises the stakes of how important Joel and Tommy are to this amount of people. I feel like in the games, you get the vibe, okay, cool, there's a little settlement. Here it's like they are on the path to fixing the problem of humanity. Like they have a thing going for them.
Repopulizing it.
Yes,
So
like it's like,
populating
oh,
it, rather.
like they're the apocalypse happened and they're the beginning of a new future that like you can see new generations living in Jackson. I believe in Jackson a lot more in the show. And to have the amount of zombies like this, when Caitlin falls down the like snow thing,
The hill.
the hill, the tension just rises so much in the
Dude,
episode.
the way the frozen clicker turns, and you're like, oh, it's alive. Oh no, it's not. It's actually, and it's just like
Dude.
whirlpool of all the infected coming up.
And from that moment, it just like all of a sudden the tension for the rest of the episode's going. And I know what's going to happen, but like getting all this other Jackson stuff, like the way that the zombies were running into the walls, like it was freaking terrifying and actually scary. And the way that it felt, so I love adapting the feel of a video game into these shows because again, it's an adaptation of a game, even for a bunch of new stuff that we never got. And I'm watching this and I'm like, God, I wish I could have played this. That's so cool that like it works the other way, right? But I loved the leveling up. I love the barrels going down and them shooting them to make them explode. I'm like,
the siege
this is a
warfare
video
aspect
game,
of it
man.
all,
Like
yeah.
that's so cool. But it has the prestige video production of an HBO show, and I think that having Tommy, the moment of Tommy and Maria at the end, like hugging after so much death and destruction happened in Jackson, like to me, all that stuff, I think it's going even further to when, I mean, I assume Tommy goes out to avenge Joel, it gives us even more of what he's leaving behind.
Yeah,
And he is their sole defender. When the other fire guys backed out when they saw the evil coming towards them, he stood there with the flamethrower. And the idea that he's going to be so consumed with revenge that he's going to leave this town without its superhero defender,
Savior.
I think that that's really, really good stuff
Yeah, there was someone in the live chat as we're recording this was asking if the scale of the assault on the town took away from the moment with Joel, and I would actually argue the opposite. I think because the stakes were so high there was a part of me that was like, if I hadn't watched this, I'd be like, oh, for sure, Ellie's going to come in and save him in this, right? Because when you have the escalation of action so badly on one side, you're waiting for the pendulum swing on the other side for someone to come, bah, 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 right? And so when we do have that moment where he dies, it's that much more of a gut punch for me than sitting in that moment in the game. I thought it was really, really well done.
Yeah, I'm with Greg that I think that the game overall did that moment just a little bit better. But again, this being different, I almost don't even want to compare it. I don't think it was better enough or different enough that it really matters. I think that they nailed what they were going for. I was so emotionally stressed out watching this, and watching it with Gia, who did not know, was one of the most like gut-wrenching things I've experienced with her. Like, she was so in and did not see it coming. It's so crazy because she doesn't know the story. So I was saying this last week, but Dina is her standout character. And she's like, oh, Dina's the fan fave. She thought Dina was going to die. Like, she thought, she was like, oh my God, they're going to like take Dina from us. And I was like, just having to like bite my tongue, just be like, okay, let's see what happens. And the moment she realized like, oh, fuck,
Joel's not
this is
getting out
going
of
so
this.
much worse than I could have ever imagined.
Yeah.
Like, she's all throughout last night. She was like, keeps talking to me. She's like, I can't believe they killed Joel. Like, she can't stop thinking about it. And
We
I'm
got
like,
a text from Josh McCouga, same thing, right?
Exactly,
Yeah, and
like-
my TikTok algorithm, as soon as I heard it, the first one is filled with the gamers filming their non-gamers friends as they really catch up to the fact that help isn't coming. Like, this is the end for Joel.
It's
And
a
that's
Ned Stark
powerful.
moment, right?
Yeah,
100%.
That's really what it is.
and
Where,
so
you're
where do
like,
we go from here?
Exactly. And
Yeah.
I think I obviously as a storytelling mechanic just from the game, it's wonderful because now it's the moment where we really do put Ellie apart. Now she doesn't have the projector. Of course, it'll be Tommy going forward a little bit. They'll pair up. But yeah, I mean, I think that I want to dial it back real quick because I didn't get a chance to talk about Caitlin Dever, who I absolutely adore, and she just is so fucking good in this. Like, I live on a cloud all my own making. I walk into this and I'm like, I can't remember who's playing Abby, and then I see her and I'm like, right, Caitlin Dever. And I'm very excited about that. And she just delivers. She delivered
100%.
both these episodes so fucking good. The whole crew. And shout out to Toddy Gabriel, who I know from Sabrina. I'm like, oh, that's the actor from Sabrina.
And she's about to be the lead in Naughty Dog's next game.
Yeah, she's great. That whole crew was great. And again, I think it's such a good bit of storytelling when you look at this. And you guys are bringing in the Game of Thrones analog, and I think it's so well done because Game of Thrones, the thing it did great was it took a group of people that were bad, and then slowly but surely, over the course of good storytelling and good acting, it made you care about them and made you empathize with why they were doing the bad things that they were doing. And I think this crew, her little crew, the dude that's like kind of good looking, taller Jake Gyllenhaal guy, he's so good in this.
Owen?
Yeah, is that what his name is?
Or is that Owen?
character.
Yeah.
Owen. And he's, I mean, that guy is phenomenal in this. And just the subtlety of how he's just sort of like, he's there for her, but he's also like, he has that great moment where he's like, the answer to this is we have to talk her out of doing this or we're all going to
You
die.
don't have a plan, do you?
He's like, I have a plan. It's
Talk her out.
tell her
of
this is a bad idea. All of that stuff was so well done. And I think she is sort of the cornerstone of that group, and that rage and how they're kind of holding her back. I thought was so beautiful. The blocking of the scene too, where she's sort of like the tip of the spear and they're all kind of standing backward.
Mel
So
crying.
well done.
Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I love it because, again, this is different than the game. Like, the way that the group, we still have Manny, the Falcon, and we always forget his name from Top Gun. What is it?
Damn it.
We need to know. But I love that how the dynamics are a little bit different, where it seems like in the game they supported Abby a little bit more, whereas here it's like I do feel like there's a lot more of like, hey, you're going way too far.
Yeah.
And seeing her like get really upset by it all, I was like, this is good stuff. And like I think that I said this last week, and I'm happy that it seems like they are going this direction. I do think we're getting a little bit of a character flip between Ellie and Abby of how their characters are going to act. Like, yeah, sure, in the game Ellie is vengeful and has this revenge in her heart, but I do think that there's a different level of like physicality to Bella Ramsey's performance of Ellie in this. And we keep seeing her, she did the MMA training and then she's like doing the punching bag stuff, and the next time on, I'm like, I liked that, sure, Caitlyn's not the physical force that we know from the games with Abby, but I like that is kind of being flipped on its head a little bit between the two groups. And I think that is where a lot of the story elements are going to shine for me personally, looking forward at like what I hope to see once we get to Seattle and then WLF stuff and all of that.
Yeah. To riff off that for a second, and this is no disrespect to Bella Ramsey, right? But we all know when you have someone in a triangle choke, you got to transition over to that armbar faster, or they're going to come out and they're going to slam you. Okay, so that's just food for thought. That's growth for her character. I really like how she's playing this character way different than I remember Ellie in the game, and I think that was a purposeful choice in season 1, and I think it's a good choice here too. She's like, I think she's made this character her own, and it's different to me than the emotions that I had watching Ashley Johnson play the character back in the day, and I think it's going to contrast really, really nicely with Caitlin Devers and Abby, and when they kind of pair off against each other. I think it's nice.
Shout out to Ashley's song at the end.
Oh, dude, I literally
when it popped, I was like, "Holy shit!"
I started crying. That was the moment. I was just like, "Oh my fuck, dude!" Like, did you notice that, Nick? That the song at the end, like when they're like after Joel's death, going back, it was Ashley Johnson singing the song that like he taught her on the guitar, right? Through the Valley.
Well, I forget if he taught her, but it's the song that was in the first ever Last of Us Part 2 teaser.
Yeah,
where she walks in at PSX or whatever.
That's what it was.
You sure about this, kiddo? I'm gonna kill every last motherfucker, or whatever she says.
Yeah.
Sorry, no, I played Alan Wake 2 yesterday, and every chapter ends with a song, so I'm just used to
more music.
It's more music. What am I gonna do with it?
But yeah, I want to keep talking about this, but I do want to take a quick word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Imperial. We've told you all how important it is to developers to wishlist games you're interested in on Steam. So if this game sounds cool to you, make sure that you wishlist it. In Imperial, you play as a mercenary sent to a distant planet to discover the mysteries of an ancient civilization. Powers unknown lie within the monolith, but those are no mere ruins, as an expedition has already ventured inside with only a few survivors. Why was it built? What powers reside within? Who is at the center of the monolith? All these secrets and more will be uncovered if you are brave enough to take on Imperial. Imperial features a unique blend of RPG systems and skill-based combat across 3 weapon archetypes: the acrobatic glaive, the defensive but devastating mace and shield, and the powerfully ranged cannon. With a deep ability system and extensive customization, every battle is an opportunity to refine and optimize your combat style. Form relationships with each of the few surviving expedition members who all have their own personal quest lines. Whether you choose to help or not can have drastic consequences for them. The monolith is guarded by powerful automatons, each with distinct attack patterns and weaknesses that demand precise execution and strategy to be victorious. Create your mercenary, enter the monolith, learn powerful abilities, defeat the automatons, and uncover the secrets that lie within Imperial. Imperial is available May 8th on PC, Xbox S and X, and PS5, but you can wishlist now. Do it! Wishlist Imperial. This episode's brought to you by Aura Frames. If you haven't called your mom in a while, here is your reminder to do it. But then if you want to go above and beyond, Mother's Day is coming up, and I have the perfect gift idea. Aura Frames are incredibly smart and easy to use, allowing you to upload unlimited photos and videos directly from your phone to the frame. Plus, you can order the frame online and preload it with photos and videos using the Aura app, so it's ready to go right out of the box. It's a gift so special, they'll use it every day. Trust me, Gia's dad does, Greg and Kevin, and a ton of people here at Kind of Funny are obsessed with their Aura frames. It takes about 2 minutes to set up a frame using the Aura app, and I know that from experience. Aura has a great deal for Mother's Day. For a limited time, listeners can save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off plus free shipping on their best-selling Carver matte frame. That's AURA frames.com. Promo code kinda funny. Support this show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. We were talking last week, Greg, and I was saying that great, stars in the back, everybody. It's coming eventually.
Little cards.
We're gonna make potato chips so you can eat
Thanks,
it.
Olive Party.
I was saying last week how I enjoy getting more Dina and different relationships with her, having her with Joel and kind of creating that like different type of father-daughter experience that like isn't the Ellie one that we know, or
Almost
Sarah
teacher
one
student.
even.
Almost
yeah.
you're hanging out. It's when your friend goes to take a shower, is late coming home, and you're hanging out with their parents in their kitchen. You're just like, all right, well, kill the time till you come over.
And again, while it's different, I like her being a part of being there for the moment, because I think that in the game, her going with Ellie made sense, but it also I always felt was a little weird, like that she would go off with Ellie based on what we got from her and the limited experience leading up to that. So I like that, but this week it's all about Jesse. Like I like the getting him in other situations. We're getting so much more of him, and he was another character in the game that I don't want to say was undercooked, but I feel like his emotional beats didn't ever resonate with me, and I think that so far they've already built him up more. in a way that I really like the one line of, we all know you're gonna run this place one day. Like even that,
yeah,
it just sets his character, who he is, and his relationships with them a lot better.
You got the IMDb. What's the actor's name?
His name is Young Mazzino, I think.
He's doing such a great job. Where there's that for sure. But then like even I again, no disrespect to Jesse in the video game, but I was always like, are they? It's weird that you just broke up with this person, but you always break up with this person, but you always get back together, and then Ellie makes out with her at a thing, and then you're cool with it. But the way he played it at the door, fucking with her, I really did believe of like, oh, he's over this. It's not. This isn't a big deal. He wasn't gonna get back together with her. It's not anything. But it's so fucked up you did that. Like that was all fun. I enjoyed that. Let alone then the conversation they had as they went along the way, right? And Ellie getting mad at him and turning around is so well played.
I want to go back real quick to that one moment of when we see Dina, we catch up with Dina and Joel when he's fixing the circuit breaker in the house. I love this because this is such a fucking dad thing to be doing, right? You got all this shit you got to do. And then you got all these things you got to build outside. And he's in his fucking kitchen tinkering with the spring. And then he takes that one moment to like show his kind of de facto daughter, because he views Dina as a daughter more than I think. I mean, he even says so, right? In this episode, he's like, she should be my daughter based on how our relationship, but that's how it should go. And then Catherine O'Hara's like, she's not your daughter. That's why you do have a good relationship with her. But I love that we find him there where he's 61 years old and he's kind of a dad now, right?
Sure.
And it's so like, if you were watching the show for the first time and you just saw these episodes, you'd be like, everything's going okay for this guy. He's surely going to live for the next 8 episodes. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a couple super chats here.
Super chat.
CJ Splits On says, it always feels like the show's trying to keep up with the game, intensity, tone, writing, performances, etc. Naughty Dog in their own league. I mean, yeah, I really do think is credit to the quality of the performances in the game and the writing and all of the direction and stuff. But I do think the show is really, really, really nailing it. Like, I think that, yes, there could be criticisms, and I understand people not liking story choices or performances or X, Y, Z. But I do really appreciate it as a show that I compare to a Succession or a House of the Dragon or whatever. It's like, yeah, it's on that level. And again, not perfect. Like, I feel like the CG of some of the way the creatures move and the big bloater guy, like, it's fine, serviceable, gets the point across, but it's not like I'm like, oh, this deserves awards.
It's tough because you see the bloater, right? You see the big tank thing running through, and it's so obviously CG, and then you have all these other incredible, like, obviously the horde of zombies running toward it was CG, but for the most part, when you're in that, like when we're in the and I apologize because I think this was episode 1 where she's in the supermarket where she falls through.
Yeah,
and you have the great physicality of the real actor kind of running around and doing all that stuff. It does kind of, there is a it's a stark contrast. You will say that, but what are you gonna do? You have to do that, right?
Yeah, no,
and shout out to the team that put this together, because I think I remember them being like, yeah, we got a bunch of contortionists and like Cirque du Soleil people that would come and do these cool movements and train, and it worked. It really is nice, and I think the show shines in those moments of where it's like 1v1 and you just gotta pick up the bottle and throw it and all this stuff, and that's always those are the moments in the game that you remember, right? I think it was when you were sneaking through, maybe it was the first, second game, Greg, you'll remember this, when you're sneaking through like the apartment complex, the building, you have to kind of go down, you have to like figure out how to get around everything.
That's one.
That one, yeah, probably.
You got to turn on the generator.
Yeah.
Run
So
out,
like all those moments in the game are, because it's a different experience, right? That's a passive experience of watching versus an active experience of being in those moments. And so when I, who have played the game, you feel that when you're watching it, you're like, these guys really did a good job, and they paid respect to the actual game mechanics.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not a stickler, like, not like you in a bad way, but I don't know. I feel like I have a lower bar for what I'm looking at visual fidelity. I was shocked by how good I thought everything looked in this episode in terms of like they have this giant horde. I actually stuck around and watched like the documentary thing. And I think it's Gabriel Luna makes a comment of like, reading the script, I was like, I don't think we're gonna pull this off. Yeah, and I thought they pulled it off excellently.
Absolutely, yeah. Again, I'm saying it's just. It's hard because in video game you can do anything, and to again give credit to this episode, like they already had so much emotional depth and things that they had to do for them to. I keep bringing up Game of Thrones, and that's the utmost compliment for me. But this feels like the Hard Home episode or Battle of the Bastards episode of Game of Thrones, like in terms of battle and scope, but then also some of the more emotional Ned Starky type moments or like whatever. And for it to kind of have the best of both worlds of that, of the big giant scale war shit and the close encounter, like real emotional, like death, handling both of those with such grace and having them, I think, add so well to each other in that Return of the Jedi, Two Planes of Action type of thing was so well done. But on top of that, this being a unique to the show thing, like the fact that this battle doesn't happen, the fact that in the game, we're not getting these giants, and we never get, you versus a million guys, right?
Yeah.
So for them to make that work in the context of the show and have it feel authentically Last of Us, I think it's a tall order, especially after last season when, from a show watcher perspective, I think that a lot of people that didn't play the game, their criticism was we're not getting enough of the zombies.
Sure.
And this is like the biggest fuck you possible. Here they all are.
I think another credit to it is the fact of even when they're like, walking through, like, nothing's going to happen, but if it was happening, baby's down there, we go up in the room. They're explaining all this. And then when we saw the horde, I was like, this is going to break the game for me, or the world, break the narrative for me. There's just no way they could survive this. And then to see how it went, I was like, damn, like by the end of it, I'm still like, I think you would have lost a lot more people, but I can see you surviving this. Like you did a good job there against villains. I think that up until this point we have made, like, they're untouchable. They're going to fucking win. They're going to overtake the world.
And yeah, it was that rising level of they had the plan. Like that we could tell that they have done this before. And that they know how to deal with certain things.
Yeah.
They had the little barrel shoots ready, and then on top of that, they had if they get in, then the flamethrowers, and then the rising level of offense. I thought was so freaking smart. How well trained everyone seemed when they're on the roofs, kind of like looking out for each other, sniping like that. Because I'm with you. When they first started running, I was like, this is like the scale might be a little too big. Like, there's no way this group's going to be able to take these people down. Once we started seeing the zombies hitting the wall, I was like, there. Cooked. They are so fucked. Yeah. But the defense, I was like, you sold me. I believe in this group of people, and even being able to do
the WLF group in the morning to be like, they have fucking power lines. You know what I mean? For them to be like, these people are on another level.
Yeah, and the dogs. And the dogs.
Oh my God. Thank God. I thank you for remembering the dogs. The dogs were awesome.
Yeah, there's a couple moments here that I wanted to touch on. One was I agree. I think this was cool, and I think it's interesting to see how you would do that siege style battle, right? Once the wall has fallen, then they're like, okay, well, yeah, obviously take to the get elevation and attack from an elevated position, which is great. But there's a moment where Tommy, as he's running through, is like, they're gonna break through the wall, and they give him the flamethrower, and it's him and 4 of the guys. And I don't know if you guys caught this or not, but as they break through, 2 of the guys run. They bolt.
Tim talked about that already.
Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize.
Yeah.
So, but those moments where I'm like that, and then the moment of the guy handing him a gun, so he can bite.
He shows the bite and gets
as
shot.
It comes up, and then that's happening through multiple parts of the street. That to me I was like, oh, there was consequences for this, right? That was great.
Yeah. Oof. Oh man,
what a show.
Let's get back to these super chats here. Alan G says, birthday tax. Thank you for the years of content. I've been loving the slight changes from the game. I'm excited for the rest of the season. Happy birthday, Alan. And I agree wholeheartedly. War Table says, what is wild is the discourse is coming back about Abby killing Joel. The audience that never knows the game is all mad about the Abby moment. Yeah, as they should be, right? Like, I mean, it's heartbreaking and upsetting that a lead that we love playing as in the first game, and Pedro Pascal, an actor that we fucking unanimously love and that crushes every role he does and is crushing Joel. To have him taken from us, it's upsetting. I get it.
I haven't seen everything. Is the reaction as bad? Because I feel like, or as fierce, I mean, to being anti-Abby. Because I feel like they did such a better job at this point in the show versus this point in the game of really being like, yo, he blew her dad's brains out on the floor, and the nurses said you didn't even look at him. And it's like, I'm watching this knowing everything, obviously, but being like, I think they're doing a better job of, like, even if I don't like that they killed Joel, even if I don't like Abby for killing Joel, I think you'd be there earlier, be like, I get it, though.
The discourse so far seems to be the gamers are mad that they revealed the Abby twist so early that it is her dad.
Gamers, what a surprise.
And then the TV watchers are mad, and we've seen this before with The Walking Dead, and I stopped watching after the Glenn situation. Okay. So I think that's kind of like, that's where the people that are angry discourse is coming from. But I also think that there's a lot of people that are down for this type of stuff and want to see where it's going. And I go back to Gia being an example. Like, she can't wait for the next episodes to know what happens. Like, where do you go? She trusts it, right? I think that's the thing, is like she trusts in the quality of the show, that she knows that they're going to have a story that's going to back up that decision to kill
violence,
him. And I mean, knowing the game, I'm like, yeah.
And this is an exaggerated example of it, right? But this is a tried and true story mechanic as well, right? I always bring back I call it the Dumbledore situation, right? Where you have to have Dumbledore die so that Harry can actually come into his own and continue his own journey. Because this is Ellie's journey as much as it is anything else, right? And so now she's apart. She doesn't have Joel. She doesn't have that moment of, you can feel it where there's so many unsaid things between them, and now they can never be said. And this is a vulnerable place to set your character off as we go into the next 5 episodes of the show.
Yeah. God, and then the next season too. Like, that's gonna be crazy. Like, I hope we get that.
They go to space.
Later.
Get to the beach, man. That's all we got to
I think
do.
they go to space this season. I think so.
I've been in a more jovial, like they're actually going to space.
Oh.
Thing. I wasn't making references to anything.
Wait, I was like, they went to space in the game?
You'll see.
Well, yeah.
You played 2, yeah?
That's years ago, though. I played on stream, too, so half of it didn't sink in.
Sure. We talked about the beans in episode.
We did. They were so happy about that, man. People loved watching
People
that
hate
part.
comedy. It kind of funny. It sucks.
Keelan Finn says, do you think Tommy will go out for revenge? I'm thinking he might not because he has a child in the show and why they put Dina with Joel instead of Tommy. I do, and that's why I'm so happy with them having this big action.
I think, again,
scene in
it's
this
stakes.
one. Yeah,
I think that's why it matters. I think, again, earlier one of the questions was, did the action of Jackson take away from what was going on? And I think the fact that they did such a great job of Joel seeing it and wanting to go, and Abby having, oh, we have guns and we can help you, come in. And then he comes up and he gets to the glass and he's still looking at the fire burning. It was like, damn, you can feel Pedro caring so much about Tommy over there and caring about Jackson in the same way. Tommy sending off, these messages and being pissed off about where the fuck Joel is or whatever. You had that there. And then to have him now lose Joel and know how much that means, but then have Jackson be, they did a great job, I think.
Cameron Kennedy says, doesn't he have a child in the game?
I believe he does.
I don't remember.
Tommy?
I thought so, yeah.
Then we have Cooking with Vinny saying HBO learned from the horrible Battle of Winterfell defense strategy. Yeah, that's a big thing too.
Well,
so a couple of the battles in Game of Thrones towards the end got a little like, why wouldn't they just do that? And like the moment you start asking that and not enjoying what the show's doing, it's like y'all kind of fucked up the premise here. And when you have Winterfell, which is like the most iconic or the
start and the finish of
the start,
Game of Thrones, the
it's
alpha and
like
omega of this show.
An area that we know very well.
Yeah,
it's like we are all like, hey, we know how to defend this better than you trained people are defending it. That's a problem. So yeah, good call there.
According to the chat, no, she does not have a child. They do not have a child. Tommy and Maria.
I also will give a shout out. I mean, I'm sure this is how I don't recall the game. I'm pretty sure it happened during the day as well. But shout out to them for doing this battle during the day where we could see everything.
This battle didn't happen.
Oh, right.
Battle's just not in the game.
That's right. Okay, that's right. Yeah. So shout out to them for making it during the day so we could actually see what was going on.
Yeah. It was interesting, the actual Joel moment, it being in the day, right? It's pretty in contrast to, I don't remember if the last one was at night. I think it was
just in a dark
It was very
basement.
dark.
It was dark,
right?
yeah.
And I liked this being in the light. I liked being able to see every single ounce of emotion on all the characters' faces. And this whole episode being the snowstorm and being the blizzard and how like blistering all of that was, like seeing these characters get ripped apart by the snowstorm.
Sure.
To have it end in this like very, very bright room, I think it's kind of just like the blizzard taking over. Like I thought that was a very inspired choice, and I think it really paid off to differentiate from the game that was incredibly fucking dark. And again, at the end of the day, I personally prefer the dark take, but I think that this take really works in service of the story and themes and tone of what they're building with the show. Mara super chats in saying, I'm loving the show, but I do feel like seeing Abby's background this early denies us the blind hatred that Neil said was core to the themes of the game.
I don't think so.
But I think you see the blind hatred. And I think, again, Tommy, if he does in fact leave his wife and kid to go do this, we're going to see that theme of hatred. And I think that's the thing right now, where if you're like, oh man, it's fucking, I hate Abby for doing this, when you see Ellie set off on that same journey, right? I think all the narrative pieces and bones are right there.
Yeah, I would say that having Abby have real reasons for why she did things, like real humanistic reasons for why she did things, makes the stakes that much higher for if someone's going to go hunt her down. That's my personal opinion. Is if we didn't understand why she was doing this, it would feel very one dimensional, and I think it would cheapen the moment of Joel dying, basically, because now we know as the audience what's going on, and now we know that she's a real human being with real emotions, and so you can start thinking and maybe I'm bringing too much of the game into it, but you can start thinking to yourself like, oh, I care about both these characters, and really at the end of the day, the conversation that you're having internally is the same one I had with my wife, where she was like, why don't they just talk to each other? Why don't they just like let it go? And I'm like, that's not what it's about, right? That's not what it's about. They have to go through this journey before they can hit that point where they can realize that they need to like let go of the hate, the blind hatred.
Yeah, to me, I love how the game did it, where we get a bit of Abby, this happens, and we know that they know Joel, but playing through the game, I remember playing it for the first time for me, I was like, all right, Joel and Tommy had a lot of adventures back in the day. Like, he could have pissed a lot of people off. Like, I did not. It wasn't until halfway through the game that you see the giraffes and you're like, oh fuck, he killed her dad. Like that was such a amazing reveal moment, and I think that did have this moment for me of like, oh okay, I still hate you, Abby, and I hate that I have to play as you right now, but like I understand what's going on here. But I think that in the show they're doing a really good job of telling us that stuff where the reveal still hits. Like last night because again, we played the game, so we know that her dad was the doctor. When we get the quick flashback and she's like, that was my dad, when she's asking, like, how many people did you kill? And like saying all the numbers and having the monologue that she doesn't have in the game, I think that works as a reveal just as well as the game does. It's just different. And again, seeing G's face when they have the flashback and it shoots the doctor, she's like, that was my dad. G was like, holy shit. And I'm like, cool, great. The reveal happened. It still hit. And I think now going forward in the story, it's going to allow us to see two horribly hateful people, to at least two, more with Tommy added and all that stuff. But Ellie and Abby, this constant cycle of revenge happening, like, I think it just works very well in the story that they're telling.
Yeah, I mean, remember also that, like, and I can't remember, how long was The Last of Us 2? A long game, right?
30 hours.
Yeah, so we're not going to spend 30 hours with these characters, right? We have to truncate some of this, and we have to find ways to, like, to make people care a little bit quicker than... It's a difference when you're playing a character and you're experiencing what they're experiencing versus watching a character. We do have to make some concessions here.
100%.
And I think this was a totally fine concession. It worked. It totally worked for me. As a person that clearly doesn't remember the nitty-gritty of the game, that moment where she's like, and the nurses said you walked right past him, didn't even look at him when he was on the ground. I was like, fuck. And Deborah just did such a good job, like, staring at him, but then, like, staring into the fucking void of his soul as she's saying that.
I mean, God, even the so opening of this episode of her talking to herself in the dream sequence, which, can come off as
and
corny.
Making her look way small, I mean, this has been the conversation about it. She's not big enough, whatever. There was a difference there, right? Of like a little girl versus who she is now.
Yeah. Age-wise, I'd say. Size-wise, not so much.
I still think she still looked a little bit bigger.
She looked a little, she put a couple pounds on.
I mean, not Abby, from the game.
I mean, because I don't know. Because, like, seeing her hit Joel, I'm just like, you have little, like, string arms, man. But whatever, it's different. And it's like,
remember, she softened him up with the putter first.
Stabbed him with the fucking thing. It wasn't the actual killing you with the golf club. So I think that they're adapting it in a way that makes sense. This is a different Abby. That's okay.
And it's a different Ellie as well, right?
Absolutely.
And that's what we've seen. Like, if you guys want the originals, play the game as well. Actually, absolutely go back and play the game if you haven't. I want to give a shout out to the blocking too. I just fucking, for whatever reason, I was just like, it's so cool when they run with the gun like this.
Oh yeah.
She's so dope with it. I was like, cool. But then she did the one thing where when she slid down the avalanche hill. Well, she stood up and she was like looking around. I was like, where's your fucking gun? Where is your gun? Get your gun. It's like the old Vietnam like sniper thing where it's like, you got to protect your gun first. I had a lot of anxiety in that sequence.
Well, everybody, let us know what you thought about the big one, episode 2 of season 2 of The Last of Us. What you liked, what you didn't like, everything in between. We will be back next week. I think at our normal time of Monday. We just couldn't do this on Monday because Greg and I were both out. But
I was only out because you weren't here, so that's on you,
Oh, yeah. Until next time, love you all. Goodbye.